Blog Talk Radio.
Last night I saw a lunar eclipse in the sky, and something happened in my mind's eye. I saw you in a whole different light. Clearly, really, it's not that I want you to change. It's more that I want you to stay the same.
Oh, and I do want you to stay the same. I want you to stay right here with me for the next hour. I'm Bonnie D. Graham, a.k.a. Radio Red, and yes, I am red these days. Again, I have two wonderful guests, smart, savvy people who are living life out there for real in the trenches, doing things and inspiring others. First half, we're going to speak to a lady named Laurie Gardner. You can go to Laurie, L-A-U-R-I-E, Gardner, Gardner.com. I never give the websites up front, but I'm going to do it tonight. We're going to break stride a little bit. And see, Laurie is the Get Real guru, and she's gone on a self-quest trip, and she's fasted in the desert, and she has done all kinds of crazy things like joining the crew team when she was at Harvard and traveling around the world and learning 5 languages. She's a maverick. She's a maven. She's amazing. We're going to learn a lot from Laurie, and we're going to get real, and her slogan is live fun, live full, live free. I love it. So let's get on with the show. Laurie Gardner, the Get Real Guru. Welcome, Laurie. How are you today?
I'm doing really well, Bonnie. Thanks.
Thank you for joining me. I need you to talk just a little bit louder. I want to hear you a little bit clearer. So say hello again.
Yes, absolutely. Can you hear me now?
Much better, much better. So talk to me. What is a life quest, a vision quest? Where did you go? What did you do? And did you throw away your Harvard education, or are you using it to your max, as your parents might have been so concerned about over the years? Laurie, tell us a little bit about your background and bring us up to speed with where you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was going to say, it depends whose perspective you ask. Do I feel like
right.
I threw away my Harvard perspective? No. Ask my mother. You might get a different answer.
There you go. Talk to me.
So, yeah, I mean, a vision quest, that question first, I didn't even know what a vision quest was, I'll be honest with you. I was working a very rewarding but very stressful job and just needed to really up Periscope in my life. And another friend of mine had sent me an email that she went off on this vision quest thing, and she was fasting in the desert, and she came back writing poetry, and yeah, I thought, oh my gosh, I have to check this out. So off I went. This was a few years ago. At the time, I was running a nonprofit to help reform schools all across the world and the country, and I just needed a break. So off we went to the desert, a small group of us. We were out there for 4 nights and 5 days.
Laurie, which desert? What part of the world did you go to?
Oh, yeah. It was in Abiquiu, New Mexico. So for anyone who has seen maybe Georgia O'Keeffe's paintings of skulls of cattle or painted cliffs, it was 30 miles from where she used to paint.
Very cool reference. Thank you very much. Go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, so anyway, so off I went on this vision quest, and all we were allowed to have while we were out in the canyon by ourselves in the heat of the summer was a plastic tarp, a sleeping bag, a journal, and maybe a small musical instrument. No food, just lots and lots of water, because it was over 100 degrees that summer.
No food. No food.
No food. No drugs.
How many days no food, Laurie? How many days?
5 days.
5 days. Okay. What did it feel like? Take us through the journey a little bit, and then we'll move on with your story. But I think everybody wants to know, what? Are you crazy? What were you thinking? First of all, what were you thinking when you did it? Second of all, what did it feel like day by day? If you give us the top-level summary of what you went through emotionally and physically, 5 days fasting with water in 100 degrees. I can't even envision it. So tell us what happened, Laurie.
I definitely feel like I'm talking to my mom right now. Okay. Let me break it down.
Like your mom, I'm a Jewish mom, and so, we probably have a lot in common. Go ahead.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, again, I was very open-minded when I went out there. I just knew that I needed to kind of get a real different perspective on my life. Was I going in the right direction? What was happening? And, this sounded kind of interesting and exciting. And we went with a leader who very much did it in the Native American tradition. So before we even went out there, he kind of prepared us physically and emotionally for what it was going to be like. So, for example, some people had never even slept outside before, never mind under a plastic tarp on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly none of us were used to not eating for a week, and what was that going to be like? And he also gave us lots of different rituals for what do you want to leave behind in your life, and where do you think you're going to? So a lot of anticipation, a lot of nervousness on my end, just a lot of openness. I think I was mostly just kind of curious. And so after this few days of preparation time where we're already very much backcountry in New Mexico in the desert, we then hike in even further into this beautiful painted canyon. It's just pink and orange and yellow stripes and spires of rocks. And, oh, it's just a beautiful, beautiful scenario to be in. And then it was time for us to go off by ourselves and to find our private spots where we would be by ourselves before we would come back together again as a group. And so I ended up in this spot. I mean, I hiked out there at first, and I'm scoping it out. They gave you a chance to pick your place of where you would be, and I found this perfectly wonderful place on the ground. You know, it was an easy walk in, beautiful red wall. I thought, this is great. And it just didn't feel right. And I was like, I don't think this is it. And I had passed just a stunning, I mean, glowing, golden yellow rock cliff, but it was way, way far away, way, way up high. And I'm lugging in all of this water and my backpack. I thought, no way. But sure enough, I knew, you just know, you get a gut hit. This is my spot. So I hiked over hill and dale and through scratchy sage and over cow fences and,
oh my God.
Yeah, it was crazy. I made my way all the way up, and I have to tell you, I hiked to the top of this ridge in front of this glowing yellow wall, like something out of The Wizard of Oz, like in Technicolor. It was that bright. And I just burst into tears. I was like, oh, my God, this is the spot. Oh, yeah.
Wow. You know, we want to reference this when we bring Nick Kelch on in the second half of the show, and I know Nick is listening intently to your story, Laurie, because you are painting a visual picture for me with words, and Nick is all about photography, so we'll talk to him about what he's seen while you're describing this beautiful scenario. So you cried, and that meant to you, I'm in the right place. Is that accurate?
Oh, absolutely. You just know.
Okay.
You're like, wow, okay, here's the spot. And so basically, though, then you have to set up camp, right? You have this, plastic tarp, kind of like you see people tying to the back of their trucks. I just had one of those cheap, $8 blue things you pick up at Home Depot with the rivets in the side, and you have to figure out how to rig it to a tree and stay cool and shaded and all the survival stuff. And fortunately, I had been an Outward Bound instructor earlier in my life, so I was quite comfortable in the wilderness, which helped. We always had food during our trips. That part was new, but at least I was like, okay, I can rig a tarp. I'll figure this out. But literally, I set up my campsite. I put my water in the shade. I sat down under a tree, and I thought, what am I going to do out here for almost a week?
Kidding.
Oh, in the middle of the desert with no food. Like, what the heck was I thinking?
Now, Laurie, I have a question for you. Did they know where you were? Were the leaders or the leader tracking you? Did they have a map of where you were? Did they have a GPS on you? I know people are listening and saying, what? Were there safety measures built in? Did you have a fallback plan where
absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, the safety system was, so remember, we had this group leader, and I've since been back to my Vision Quest spot by myself, where I did just let people know, here are the GPS coordinates, here's the map, I'm going back to this spot. But at the time, we had a group, and he had a system where when you were first hiking out to find your spot, whoever ended up in the canyon nearest to you was what was called a stone pile buddy. And my nearest group member was named Amy, and she ended up not too far away. And so the system was, Amy showed me her spot, I showed her my spot, and then we pick a location halfway in between the two, and we make a pile of stones. And so Amy was the morning stone pile person, and every morning she would come and move the rocks into a different formation, and then every afternoon I would hike down from my spot and then kick the stones and put it into a different location or a different formation so she would know that I had been there.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
all
so that was the system. And
Mommy feels better now. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. So continue. So what was it like the first day? No food? When did the excitement wear off and the OMG, oh my God set in, or didn't it?
Well, it's funny because it was such a feeling of awe, like I said, that initial just breaking down into tears. I don't know if you've ever been out in nature and you're seeing an amazing sunset, or you just see this view that just takes your breath away. It was really like that. And so you're automatically in this space of, wow. I feel some powerful nature all around me. I don't know what's going to happen, but this is different than any scenario I've been in. And for me, I literally just took out my journal, because I've written in my journal ever since I was 9 years old, and I just started to write. And literally, this book came pouring out into my leather journal right away. Just started writing this book. And as I was there for the course of the next 4 days, I would take a little walk, write more of that book. Sleep a little, write more in my journal. Go move my stone pile around for Amy, come back, write some more in that book. And it just, by the end of the 4 days, I had an entire book. So for me, the experience was mostly about just pouring out this book into my journal, as well as doing those rituals that our leader had taught us, of really taking a hard look at my work, my relationships, my health, and really looking hard at, wow, I have to make some changes. What needs to get left behind in this desert, so to speak, and where am I going to be when I come back?
Talk to me about the hunger. I'm still dying to know. At what point did you realize you hadn't eaten for 24, 48, 96 hours? What happened to you physically? Was it euphoria? Was there a sense of being clean? Was there a sense of emotional cleansing, if you will, because your body wasn't based on food at that point, or was there a deprivation feeling? What went through your mind, and did that change over the 5 days, Laurie?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so basically what happened for me, and it's different for other people, but for me personally what happened is the hard day is the first day, because your body is still expecting food, right? So it's like, feed me, feed me, feed me. And
yep, that's right.
And you may even get a little bit nauseous because your body, your stomach is sending up stomach acid, expecting food to come in and for it to break down the food. So
that's right.
Our leader had actually prepared us by telling us to bring Rolaids with us, and if we felt a little nauseous, eat those chalky pills, and that will help quell that. And then you drink water, and as anyone who's ever been on one of those diets where you're carrying around those giant mugs of Diet Coke or whatever they're drinking in those supersized things, the liquid really fills up. So, so I'd say the first day was rough. I was definitely hungry, a little bit nauseous. But by the middle of the second day, I think my body just got the message, like, no food is coming. Chill out. Drink water. And then what happened was I really found myself, this may be a little bit hard to describe, but I just felt lighter and lighter and lighter. My body literally I almost felt like I had more energy, not less. I wasn't weighed down by the calories. I wasn't worried about what's the next meal, what am I going to eat, and where. Like, that's just not even in your consciousness, because there is no next meal for a while.
Okay.
So it was very much a lightening of my physical self and a heightened awareness. I became so clear-headed and clear-hearted during that fasting period that my whole life was on a tapestry in front of me. There were no questions asked. I knew exactly by the end of that experience what needed to happen in my life. And I think the fasting definitely, at least initially, contributed to that. I've since gotten into that place without having to fast, but I think that really helped me to get there initially.
Okay, my next question, Laurie, and I'm sure this won't surprise you, is were the changes that the revelation, shall we say, the insights, the aha moments about needing to change, were you able to put those into action, and did they last? And I think that's what people really want to know, because a lot of us have that epiphany, if you will. I know I fast on the Jewish high holiday, and it's a 26-hour fast, and I feel after about 23 hours I get that lightheaded feeling, that feeling of being able to have a deeper thought, of being more prayerful, of being more mindful, of really thinking about what matters to me and the people I love. I cry, and it's not even a bad feeling. It's something I look forward to, but it's one day a year by choice. And of course, food will be available at 7 o'clock after they blow the shofar, which is coming up in a couple weeks. And so I know it's very limited. I'm not in the wilderness, but I know that feeling on a limited basis, and I think about what would I like to change. So was this a very strong change for you? Were you able to make changes, and how long did or didn't they last, Laurie?
Absolutely. I also fast on the high holidays, and there's plentiful food afterward, too much food afterward.
Mm-hmm.
But this was on such a cellular level, Bonnie. There's no going back, and that was back in 2006, and I ended up leaving my job. I was at the height of my career as a public school reformer. I was internationally renowned. I was making fantastic money, but I knew that path was now ending, and I was starting on this one. I left a 4-year relationship with a man who had bought me an engagement ring on my 40th birthday, and then wasn't able in the end to ask me to marry him, which worked out for the best, but I knew to leave that relationship. Yeah, so I completely turned around every aspect of my life. And, it took a little bit of time. I had to go back to the job, and there's the process of kind of negotiating your way out and wrapping up loose ends and all that. But no, after that was a 180. It was a complete
now, Laurie,
turnaround.
What did you know what else you wanted to do? Did you have a clear path from job X, from former job to current role? Was it pie in the sky? Was it, well, I think I'd like to do this, but maybe not? Was there a period of wandering in the desert, excuse the expression? or did you have a clear path, a clear line of sight, if you will, to what your next step was that you really, really had to find while you were in the desert to where you really wanted to go? Well, how straight was that path, Laurie, or not?
Yeah, well, that's the beauty of a vision quest. You're literally going out there to ask for a vision. And in fact, we did a culminating ritual on the very last night where you draw a circle only 6 feet across, and you are to enter that circle at sunset, and you don't come out of that circle until sunrise. And the Native Americans and other cultures that do that will literally cry out for a vision all night long. And in my case, I ended up getting caught in a hailstorm on the top of that ridge, so I was pelted with hail and rain for 10 hours in my circle.
Wow.
Yeah, it was incredible. Oh, it was an incredible test of, looking back, I don't know how I survived that, but yeah, and so the vision was so clear. I mean, literally, you didn't have to hit me over the head with a clue bat like, kiddo, you just wrote a book on the road to shine. Like, how can we live fully? You need to help other people to stop settling for less in their lives. Here, you just wrote out 3 clear steps of how they can do this. Take this book, start to teach. You've been an educator your whole life. Now you're teaching in a slightly different way. And now you're helping adults as well as children. Go, go, go. So my vision was, it was just a bonk on the head, and a natural transition from what I had been doing for the past couple decades, but into this much deeper path, if you will.
Very interesting. Now, how do you get people to move? I'm looking here at your one sheet, and you say, celebrating your inner freak. Unleash the creative wild child that's in all of us and turn fear into fun and freedom. Sounds like a formidable task to me, and I don't know if I could ever do the 5 days in the desert, Laurie, but we all know that people say you have, embrace the child, the inner child, and embrace the different and get rid of what's not working. On paper, it sounds wonderful. In real life, it's damn hard. We know that. We're creatures of habit. We like to cling to what's familiar. Change is scary. Even for those of us who love change, it still takes a lot of work to do. So celebrating your inner freak. First of all, define inner freak for us. And then how do you motivate people to make that same leap of faith or change of faith that took you such a formidable vision quest to do in your life, Laurie?
Absolutely. And, the first thing I'd have to say is, the Vision Quest was sort of the big waha experience of me doing that, but I've been doing that in much smaller ways all along the way. And that's the part I want to talk about now. I mean, that was exciting, but of course there were all sorts of culminating experiences. I may have been living out in California now for too long so that we already know what an inner freak is, but I'm surrounded by them every day in San Francisco. I love living in Berkeley. However, yeah, so for me, the inner freak is, it's who you really are. It's the part of you that, you know, you've heard all these expressions, dance like nobody's watching, you know,
yes.
sing out loud, not just in the shower.
Yes.
It's that true self, but so many people are afraid of being judged. And again, I grew up in the East Coast where, oh my God, it was all about you got to go to a good school and get a good job and meet a nice guy and have all this money, drive the right car. You know, it wasn't about, you know, celebrate your inner self and sing out loud. No, no, no. And so one of the ways, you know, I coach people as well. And I had one client who is just fantastic. He's an Australian businessman and in a very straight-laced job. I mean, the briefcase, the suit, you know, I don't know if they have Brooks Brothers over there, but the shiny shoes, the suspenders, the deal, right? And he really, really, really wanted to be in a much more creative job and to wear much more creative clothes. And secretly, he was coveting one of those man purses. What do we call them? Courier bags? You know,
something like that. He was coveting a man purse. Okay,
he wanted a man purse.
Yeah,
he had them all, and he wanted a man purse. But he thought he was a vice president. He's going to get laughed out of the office, right? He can't possibly. And so his task, just a small step. His task was swap out your briefcase for the man purse. Go buy yourself the man purse and bring it into the office. It's a tiny step towards celebrating your inner freak. First of all, it turned out nobody even noticed. Nobody judged. Nobody even noticed. And then somebody on his bus ride home complimented him on the bag.
OMG! So it turned out to be very positive and not that big a deal after all.
And not only that, it motivated him to leave that job, partner up with another venture capitalist, and start more of a much more casual office environment, almost like an architecture firm where they wear jeans and T-shirts. And he became very successful once he found a tiny bit of success of, oh, I can just be who I really am in the workplace. He's now in a completely different place. And he points back to that as sort of being the little test piece for him that gave him permission. So it doesn't have to be fasting in the desert in hailstorms. It can be something as small as buying a man purse and bringing it into the office just to mix it up a little.
Isn't that interesting? And Laurie, from what I did read of your manuscript, and thanks for sending it to me, and I know the book is being shopped for a publisher, so it's not out yet, but you do indicate that you were the victim of a lot of criticism and a lot of peer pressure against you. Growing up, you were very successful. You did everything right. Damn you, Laurie Gardner. And you were an A student, and you were varsity and lead and this and that, the lead in the school. No matter what you tried, you did exceptionally well. Damn you, Laurie Gardner. And kids were really rooting against you. They were rooting against you. It was reversed. It wasn't, wow, yay, Laurie. It was, damn you, Laurie. And you lived with that. You really did. So you know what peer pressure can do. And we always expect kids to be cruel to kids who are different. Well, you were different in the way that you were just super-duper successful. So darn you, Laurie Gardner. Now, where are you right now in your life? What are you doing? The Get Real Guru, but what are you doing for a living? Coaching, counseling? I know I mentioned your website, Laurie Gardner, LaurieGardner.com, and your book coming out soon is called The Road to Shine, SHINE, an inspiring true story about your trip to the desert and before and after. But what are you doing now, Laurie, and how do you fill your time, and what are you doing that makes you feel successful, and what's your inner freak these days? A lot of questions. Go.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, those could be two different questions, but as far as what I'm doing,
whatever you want.
Yeah, I'm really excited right now. I'm just launching a whole series of online seminars that I'm calling Courageous You. You like university and you like you. And so I'm lining up all of these fantastic guests. Next week we'll have the band Guster talking about following their passion and becoming successful musicians. I have some relationship experts as well as my own teaching. And so the thing I'm most excited about right now is just really getting out there and teaching, and also teaching in person. But I realize obviously in today's technological world with people all over the world, things like Skype and online seminars and calling in like we are now on a telephone seminar, there's many more possibilities. So that's my most exciting project is the Courageous You classes and seminars, and also continuing to write my Words of Wisdom column. Every month I write about a life lesson that's both profound and funny. I'll write about things called The Big Duh, or The Wisdom of Willy Wonka, or Don't Forget to Party. You know, things we can all relate to, but you just look at it from a slightly different perspective and go, oh, yeah, I get
cool
that.
Stuff. Sounds like you're giving people permission to live. Oh, what a terrible thing to say. Giving people permission to live and live, as you say, live fun, live full, live free. Sounds like you've got that fun aspect in your life, Laurie, and you want people to, the inner freaks. We have fun, full, free, and freak, and you put them all together and you have what Laurie is conveying. If you could sum up in one sentence what you represent, other than the slogan I just read, what would it be, Laurie? What would your message to people be?
You know, I think my message to people is that just go for it while you're here. I mean, it's trite, but it's true. Life is short, and maybe we get another chance at it through reincarnation, or depending on your beliefs, maybe we don't.
No guarantees.
There's no guarantees, and why not make the most of your life right now? I honestly believe that we didn't come here to just flatline it to the grave, or, you know, to just have, like, an okay time. You look back on your deathbed, like, yeah, life was like a 5 out of 10. No. You're supposed to be here to contribute something, to live fully, to have a good time, to love and be loved. Like, really, just make the most of your life while you're here. Don't waste this precious opportunity.
Be passionate. Share the passion. Share the joie de vivre, the joy of living, right?
Absolutely.
So when is the book coming out, Laurie? We're just about ready to introduce Nick Kelsch. Nick, get ready. We're going to call on you in about a minute and a half. When's the book coming out, and any word on publication date, Laurie?
Well, my book is currently in the very capable hands. I'm excited that I landed as my book agent, the same agent who represents Eckhart Tolle. He's also the guy who does the XX for Dummies series, like Computers for Dummies, Chopsticks for Dummies.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's in very capable hands, and he's shopping it around now. So as soon as I have word of when it will be published and available, I will put it out to those who sign up for my email list on my website. And meanwhile, there are excerpts and different things they can explore in the book itself on the website.
Laurie, I'd like you to, again, it's the website you want people to go to, lauriegardner.com, Gardner.
That's the one.
Okay, and on the right-hand side it says join Laurie's email and receive her free monthly Words of Wisdom. All you have to do is put in your first name and your email address, and it says your information will not be shared, and you click the word join. And there's a beautiful picture of Laurie smiling in a gorgeous red jacket with her big smile and her beautiful, beautiful outlook on life. Beautiful. I've been privileged to speak with Nick Kelsch, Kelsh, and Laurie Gardner, Gardner. You both been wonderful guests. Okay, kids, let's take a deep breath and let's send out a dose of reality, whether it's photographs or getting into the matter of your own heart and where you want your life to go. All right, Laurie and Nick, take a deep breath and see if we can outlast me in the moi. Here we go. By 2? Yes, you rock and roll. I'm Bonnie D. Graham. This has been Read My Lips. We'll see you next Monday right here on blogtalkradio.com.